Hey guys, this is Sean Carpenter from Columbus, Ohio, and you're listening to the Nice Guys on Business podcast. The Nice Guys Nation is all about connection, and we're all connected by 6 degrees or less. Think about it. Doug Sandler, Dougie Fresh, Poppin' Fresh, Greg Popovich, the San Antonio Spurs, Matt Bonner, Strickland Bonner. Hey, let's find out who the guys are connecting with on this episode of the Nice Guys on Business podcast. Cue Steve O'Brien.
Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
Hey, Nice Guy community, welcome back. Welcome back. We are here. We are back. Anybody that was worried that we weren't going to be here, and apparently there were a number of you.
I was worried that I actually wasn't going to be living.
And why were you worried about that, Doug?
I was scared that lady, that girl, or whoever it was that we saw at DC Podfest was actually going to follow me out into the alley and knife me.
From last week. We should introduce ourselves before we get deep into the subject. My name is Strickland Bonner. On the other side of the mic, Mr. Doug Sandler. Together we are the Nice Guys on Business.
I felt for a moment when we were speaking at DC Podfest last week that I was not a nice guy. I believe me, and we can set up the entire story so everybody kind of hears it, but I felt like, holy shit, somebody's really leaning in. I've offended somebody, and I had to do some damage control fairly quickly, and I don't think she was buying what I was saying. So
I don't think so either, and it's really interesting because I think it hits on so many different things on so many different levels. We're going to give you the setup right now. Doug and I are doing our DC Podfest presentation on how to infuse humor into a business podcast. We finish our presentation, we're taking questions, and Doug, during the presentation, made a comment about being. Actually,
I had a slide. I had a slide. So let me give the setup, and then you can carry the conflict through. So there was I have a slide, and one of the slides is one of our guests. His name is Max Major. He was wearing I'm not going to tell you what he's wearing. It was Max Major in one, it was Nicole Holland in another, and it was Catherine Budig in a third. And the first one with Max was showing him wearing a deep V T-neck. Or a deep V T-shirt. Yeah. The second one was Nicole Holland in purple hair, and the third one was Catherine Budig doing a inverted handstand, but completely naked. Mm-hmm. But just so you're aware, it was not an offensive photo. It was actually a very artistic photo, and you weren't seeing anything. It was just the angle of the shot allowed it to be a nude photo. So anyway, you take it from here, Strick.
Okay, so then you also made the comment when you were talking about Nicole that you all got off on this tangent of finding pregnant, because I think that's what you really found more offensive.
I think you're right.
Was you got on the subject of how you mentioned that you find pregnant women attractive and that you find bald women attractive, and Nicole made the comment like, boy, a pregnant bald woman, that would be like the ideal, the perfection, right?
right.
And then you mentioned Catherine Budig and being naked, and somebody.
And then I said, imagine the visual of a guy doing an inverted pyramid, and okay.
Well,
Okay.
I don't think that offended her because she didn't mention that.
No, it didn't.
So we got a question about: are we worried about objectifying women? Like, in other words, are you worried about offending your audience because maybe you objectify women? Now, clearly, I think this was not a general question this was specific. Like, basically, Doug had offended her because she felt that he had objectified women.
Yes.
And I don't remember what you said at first, or did I jump right in? I don't even remember.
I don't know, but I like where you're going, so keep rolling.
I can't even remember if you answered or I answered first, but I basically jumped in and I said, first of all, that, look, we certainly do never mean to objectify women. We would never do that on purpose. But having said that, I don't think you should worry about what your audience says. And I say this in a general way, not in a specific way, meaning that if you are trying to appeal to all people, and not offend anyone, then you are trying to be Walmart, and you can't do that. You can't compete with Walmart.
That was a really good point you made, too, the Walmart thing. I don't want to compete with Walmart. I'm not looking to broadcast. And some guy used it in a different part of the conference, and he said, you're not trying to broadcast. You are trying to narrowcast.
Right. It's so true. We're trying to find very specific people that are going to be passionate fans, and hopefully they have the same beliefs that we have. And the most important thing is be yourself. And if you are being yourself and people are offended, then they're they're not your audience anyway. I think I made a comment about, hey, we could have a podcast about gun-toting, right-wing survivalists, and we're going to offend a lot of people, but that's the niche, And now, for me personally, I wouldn't listen to a podcast like that because that's not me. But there are a lot of people that would. But they're going to offend a lot of people. So I said we try not to be offensive, but if we are offending somebody by being us, we don't give a shit.
And I think I started it. I think I did make the first comment to her, and I said, first of all, let me apologize if anything that I have said offends you personally.
Yeah, you did.
I said, but that really is the beauty of our show, is that you have the right, through choice, not to listen to the show. And I don't think you would be a listener to our show that enjoys the show. The only thing that I really wanted to say, which didn't come up, whenever I get into a conflict, whenever I come down with a bad case of stupid, I always forget what I want to say. Mm-hmm. So when I get in a conflict, it's very challenging for me. And I think a slide later was, or maybe it was a slide earlier, was don't be afraid of conflict as a part of your show, which I think was totally appropriate. So as I'm saying that, I'm thinking of that whole after the fact. I was thinking of that whole Howard Stern story, that the guys that listen to Howard Stern, typically the ones that love him listen 60 minutes a day. The ones that hate him listen to him 3 hours a day.
Right, exactly.
So she didn't have to listen to the show. It was quite obvious that she was very, very much of a feminist, and I told anything that we would say that would objectify or not. Okay, let me go on the hook to say this. I bet we do objectify women on the show, Strick. But I also said this. I bet I'm an equal opportunity offender on the show. I know I've offended Jewish people. I know I am, because I'm Jewish myself. And I see that sometimes the craziness of the things that we do as a part of our daily routine that we don't even think are unusual.
Well, and that was the next level of the discussion that I wanted to get into, is because I feel we have become such a ridiculously politically correct society that, oh my God, anything that might possibly slightly offend anybody, it's like, you can't do it. I remember hearing a story a couple months ago about a teacher, right? I can't remember if she was an elementary, middle school teacher maybe, and she was a bodybuilder, right? And I think on her Facebook or her Instagram or something, she had some pictures of her, and there was no nudity, okay, but it was like she's in a bikini or something, right? Because she's a bodybuilder, right? And basically parents were like, what are you doing? You're teaching our children, and you're putting this on your public Facebook page. And really, my answer is, if you don't want to see it, don't fucking look. Are you kidding me? Really? I mean, if she posts on her Facebook page that she's attracted to young boys, okay, yeah, then, well, sure. Well, but the question is, where do you draw the line? And that's what it's all about. Everybody's line is in a different place.
But you take it into the office environment, too, and the culture that you work, and you see that on a daily basis, people are in their workplace, and they get offended by things, and they have issue with the things that are going on around them. And if they complain and nothing gets done about it, they'll just stay there and they'll complain. My idea, and I know this is easier said than done, and I'm talking to you from a standpoint of self-employment, and I know that's a challenging spot sometimes to hear from. But if you're working in somewhere and you've brought an issue up to management and management's going to do nothing about it, or they can't do anything about it, or they don't want to do anything about it, leave your job. It's not the place for you. And it may be more challenging than just that, but it is not just about the responsibilities that you have at work. It is also about the culture that surrounds you. And if you don't like the environment that you're in, get out of it.
No, but there is the bigger picture, though. Like, let's take the bodybuilder, for example, right? I think, she lost her job over this, right? She's like a middle school teacher, and just because she happens to also be a bodybuilder in her personal life, basically they fired her because it was some conservative something out in Kansas or the middle of whatever. And that's, to me, that's the hard part. Where do you draw the line? Everybody's line is a different place. If she said, hey, I'm attracted to young boys, right? Or if she's posting naked pictures, I don't even know. I guess it's so tough. Here's the movie reference for the day. There's a great line in Spinal Tap, right? Their album cover, Smell the Glove, gets banned, okay? And they're talking about the album cover, right? They said Sears and Walmart will not carry the album if it comes out with the original cover that they wanted, right?
What is the original cover?
Okay, so their PR person is saying it's the cover, they think it's offensive. And the guys are like, well, what do you mean? So I don't understand. What's so offensive about it, right? I don't understand. And the PR person says, You put a woman on all fours, and she's got a dog collar on, okay? And you got a black glove being shoved under her nose, and the title of the album is Smell of a Glove. You don't see how offensive that is? And one of the guys goes, oh no, did you see, Dirk Bentley's last album? Same thing. He's got women yucking all over him, and they're all like greased up and they're in leather and all that. And then somebody pipes in and says, oh no, in that one, he was the victim. See, that's the thing. Wait, it's okay. He's the victim.
I'm looking at the Spinal Tap album cover now, and the biggest word on there it says is bitch. Does that not come through? What's the name of the album? Is it Bitch?
I don't know what that one is. I don't remember seeing that one. 'Cause
there's a girl on all fours, and she's got a graduate cap on, and she's being pulled around by a chain.
Where the heck did you find that?
Every one of their album covers looks like they objectify women on every one of them.
Where are you looking at that?
I don't know. I'm just on the internet. Isn't everything true?
Yeah, but is it spinaltap.com? Or are you looking on a Wikipedia page? Or what the?
Images, Google Images.
Oh, Google Images. Okay, we hear you Spinal Tap and Google Images.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Hey, let me make another.
But
okay, make your point. Sorry.
We actually have a Steve O'Brien has one of the lines. So when he says, no, the thing was, he was the victim. That was okay. And that's where the line where he says, oh, it's such a fine line between stupid and clever. And that's it. I mean, that's the way they justify it. It's like, oh yeah, he's the victim. It's, that's clever, and what we did was stupid. It's like, no, it's all completely ridiculously offensive. That's what you get out of it, the fine line between clever and stupid.
But the overall point, the overall point of what you were talking about, which is great, is that if you don't like it, just don't listen. Don't carry our album, or put it in a wrapper, or I don't know. So how does Spinal Tap get around something like that? They want to carry. I think from Spinal Tap's perspective, that's more of a commercialism thing, and they have a hard time because they have to bend to, if they want to be in Walmart or Kmart or whatever establishment that they want to sell their albums in, they're going to have to make a change. In our particular case, we are leaving it 100% to the consumer. If you don't like the show, I mean, I guess should she have not said anything? I admire the fact that she said something, but I don't think that she wanted to even have a discussion about it.
Doug, do you realize that Spinal Tap's not a real band?
What are we talking about?
Well, you're talking about Spinal Tap like they have to deal with the marketing and they have to try to sell albums. And I'm like, they're not a real band, right?
I don't have a fucking clue who they are. I know it's a movie. I didn't know if they made it to that.
It's called a mockumentary. All right.
Okay.
It's set up like a documentary, like a rockumentary.
Hold on a sec. Wait a minute.
Band. Like they do the whole history of them and
hold please. So who are they having an argument with about their album cover? With their PR person and their record company. Basically, the record company. It's set let's go back,
it
though.
is actually a documentary.
Okay, so in the movie, they're having an argument with their PR person about the album cover. This is not a real argument that they're having.
Exactly. Well,
I didn't have a clue what you're talking about.
If you watch the movie, okay,
shows how convincing you are.
The movie looks like a documentary.
Yeah.
Like a rock and roll documentary. They actually go into the history of the band, and you see stuff from them from like 30 years before, and they talk about the other albums and other things that have happened, and this is their new tour and everything. So it looks like a real documentary if you don't know any better, but they're not a real band.
So how many people at this point are now yelling at their radio saying, Doug, you idiot, don't you know they're not a real band?
There are probably just as many who are yelling at the radio going, guys, get to the fucking point. All right.
Hey, wait a minute. You know that this is what the show's all about. We have no point to the show.
True. Good point.
Well, but you made a more grand point, and the point was.
Oh, hey, by the way, I want to go one more thing with Spinal Tap before you.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you go to IMDb, have you ever been to IMDb Internet Movie Database?
Yeah.
Okay, you can rate movies, right?
Yeah, sure.
And so they show like overall the ratings for all the movies. Like 1 through 10 stars.
Don't tell me it's 11.
Spinal Tap has 11. You should go to imdb.com right now, look up Spinal Tap, and they get 11 stars because, they're one louder.
Oh wait, I want to go there. I want to see it.
Yeah, it's really good.
Okay, so anyway, so this, I was going to call her this chick, but then I was thinking I'm going to offend. She's not listening to the show. I would like to know if there's any women that are in our audience. Have I offended you to the point where, and I didn't think I was being offended. I just thought I was being just me, and maybe that being me, maybe I'm offensive just in general, and I don't realize it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I am.
I think the whole point is that everybody's line is in a different place. And that's really because it was very interesting, because after she said that, it made me more sensitive to it over the rest of the day. And over the rest of the day, there were a number of other comments that you made over the course of the day where I thought, I'm not offended, but I could see how people could be offended by that. It's very interesting, but everybody's line is in a different place. And I think that's the important thing to keep in mind, is that what you find offensive, somebody else may not, and vice versa. That's okay.
I don't want to be offensive to anyone, but I guess I am. And I'm going to have to live with that. I'm just going to have to live with that.
It's all good. It's all good. Anyway, did we have some point to this other than you? I cut you off when you were saying there was some point you were making final.
No, I was gonna talk about you had made a movie reference with Spinal Tap, and I was going to talk about a movie that I watched last night called The Imitation Game, which was about a cryptologist. Is that what you call the guys that are? Yeah, great movie. But this guy lived in the 30s when it was illegal to be gay.
Right.
I mean, illegal to be gay. So you got this guy, and he does this amazing stuff to break the code of trying to remember the Germany's code. I'm trying to remember
the German, basically the German secret codes. Yeah. Right.
So he breaks the code. And but it's up to him whether he's able to act. Statistically, you can't just say I broke the code and let's win the war. It just doesn't happen that way. You have to allow yourself enough leeway in the actions that you take on the defensive or on the offensive when you know somebody's codes so that you don't let them know that you know the code, so that they'll continue to communicate, because if they could just change their coding.
Right.
So he goes through this process, and he's playing God. Unfortunately, he has to play God because he's got to determine who lives and who dies, because he has to let some of the code get through so that Germany can, do their attacks. Mm-hmm. So part of the problem is that when he gets to there's no point to this other than just saying that this guy who is obviously a hero's hero, saved millions of lives in the long run, even though for the short run there were some lives that were lost as a result. He because he's gay, later on they found out that he was gay, and they were going to send him to prison or put him under hormone therapy. Yeah. So he goes on this hormone therapy, which completely fucks with his head, and he commits suicide like a year later.
That's crazy.
So the whole movie was, I don't even remember why I brought this up other than I have
no idea where you were going with that.
Other than saying it was a fucking awesome movie, and I think that if you have not seen it, it's great. It's called The Imitation Game.
Yeah. Yeah. So I understand we got a complaint.
So hold on, shit. Wait a minute. Let me go to my website. I'll find it. You keep talking for a second. Let me go find the complaint.
Yeah, so, we are always reaching out to our Funkin' fans to say, what do you like, what don't you like? And we did have a Funkin' fan, apparently, who spoke up very vocally. And I haven't heard the actual complaint yet. I've just heard a few of the details. I told Doug to stop, because as often as we do when we start talking, we're like, wait a minute, save the good stuff for the show. So that's what we try to do.
Let me see if I can find it. I think they wrote it on a show that was not actually the show that they were complaining about. Yeah, here we go. Let's see. It was from EatDrinkStayDubai. That is the name.
What is it?
EatDrinkStayDubai. So it may be somebody that lives in Dubai. Hey guys.
Or it could be somebody making fun of the fact that, we hate Dubai. We don't hate Dubai.
Maybe.
That was our joke. No, we didn't hear from anybody from Dubai, but that joke is pretty old.
We do not hate Dubai. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read what they wrote, which is just a few sentences, and then I'm going to read my response, just so you know. Mm-hmm. All right. So Eat, Drink, Stay Dubai. This was posted 3 days ago on my website, which is at DougSandler.com. Guys, just listening to podcast 240. So can you tell me who was on 240? Why don't you look that up while I'm...
No, that was us, I think, right?
Yeah, it might have been
about Evernote and that had to be us.
Okay, Evernote and Google Drive. Guys, just listening to podcast 240. Normally, I love the podcast, but not feeling it on the episode today. Sorry. Maybe it was because it was cold when I was listening to the podcast this morning, but it just felt like your content was not on point as normal. Well, that was actually a backhanded compliment, so I appreciate that. Firstly, all the features listed as OneNote are available in Evernote, but it didn't sound like it. Did we compare Evernote to OneNote?
You know, I mentioned Evernote, and then I said I did used to use Evernote, and I now use OneNote. And I certainly was not trying to infer that OneNote had all this stuff and Evernote didn't, but it's very possible that it came out that way. And, that's what's so important. It's like, it's not what you say, it's how it is interpreted by somebody else. I very well may have given that impression that OneNote is so much better because it does all these things. All I meant was I used to use Evernote. It's just OneNote's more convenient.
And just so everybody knows in the Nice Guy community, when Strickland actually comes to his senses and decides that he's going to put his message together in spoken form, which I know that he will, and I know that he should because he's going to be so great because I watched him actually deliver a speech eloquently and perfectly done at DC Podfest. But when you do it, the topic is going to be, and the message is going to be, perception is reality. So,
true.
Right? Is that right?
See, look at that. You're plugging me, and I haven't even got my presentation together yet. I love that.
All right, so let me continue. Firstly, all the features listed as OneNote are available in Evernote, but it didn't sound like it. Okay, you got OneNote with your Office subscription. Maybe that's the reason you prefer it. Fine. But please don't make it sound like it's comparable or a better product. Okay, so again, I don't think that you did that, but maybe that's his perception. So that's probably the reality of how it came across to him, is that you were blasting Evernote.
Yeah, no, obviously that was his perception. So yeah.
Secondly, Google Docs can be set up to sync to the hard drive also, so all content syncs from cloud.
Really?
Has the guy not noticed this? When you say the guy, he's talking about
me.
It wasn't. I didn't know that either.
Well, you weren't the one that was saying, "Hey, you can't save the physical one to your hard drive." I was the one saying that, and so he's basically saying, "How fucking stupid are you?" And you're right. I had no idea. So keep going.
Okay, all right, so let me just say this. I think this is a Google communication issue because I don't know this either, and I use Google Drive all the time.
Okay, so we could blame it on Google, or we could just say, hey, we basically come up with a topic and don't research it before we actually start talking, which is 100% true.
Well, it's 100% true, but it's also our reality, our perception of reality, right? Because let's look at it. I'm looking at the show notes for Jennifer Hecht right now. Is there a spot where I can go here that will allow me to automatically sync? And I'm looking at all of I know there's a download as, and I can download it as everything except for as we established, you can't download it as a Google Doc.
Doc.
Right.
Okay, so I see two issues here. So the first issue is the listener who commented is basically saying you guys don't know what you're talking about. Now, first of all, totally agree with that. You're absolutely right. Now, your comment that why isn't this more obvious from Google? Yeah. I agree with that too, but that's a Google issue, because here's another great example, right? When I'm in my Google Drive, and dude, maybe it's what is it? Eat, Drink, Stay
Dubai. Yeah.
Eat, Drink, Stay Dubai. If you can help me with this, oh my God, I'd love you forever. All right. So we have in our drive, we have a folder, right? And there's lots of times where I'm going to move something from one folder to another. So what I do is I right click on it and I say move to, okay? And a little menu comes up and it says, okay, what folder do you want to move it into, right? So I click on the folder that I want to move it into, right? And when I click on that, basically the thing that says, there's a button that says move to, it's off the bottom of the screen.
Yeah,
I can't get it. I have to have my browser, and this is Google Chrome, right? It's not, I would understand if I'm in like Microsoft Edge or something and Google is basically trying to say, fuck you, Edge, don't use Google in Edge, right? No, I'm using Chrome, right? But I have to have it full screen to see the actual button that says move. That's just a fail. That's so simple, right? Like, there's no scrolling that I can figure out that I can do.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
As soon as I grab the scroll, the drop down, like the right click menu disappears.
All right, so I discovered something very interesting. I had to go into the little settings menu, which is not necessarily the area that I spend much time. See your files everywhere. Add files to your drive from your Mac and then sync with other devices automatically. Download for Mac. So it actually is something I have to install, which had I known that, had Google done a better job with me, hey guys, don't you want to put this automatically on your hard drive? I would have probably done it.
That's
interesting.
Cool.
Very interesting.
Okay,
All right, let me continue.
EatDrinkStayDubai, I appreciate. So please continue.
Secondly, Google Docs can be set up on the hard drive also, so all content syncs from the cloud. Has the guy, you're the guy, has not noticed this.
No, I haven't, and I appreciate it.
Especially if you've gone over your free gigabyte GB allowance. Again, we've bought into the higher program.
We get 100 gig storage, and it's like $2 a month. I mean, it's
all right,
cheap. It's great.
So this is where I really start to get like, that little vein in your throat starts to throb. At best, this seemed like a badly scripted sponsored post. At worst, it seemed like you didn't know what the ins and outs of the products that you were reviewing. You know what? We weren't fucking reviewing this officially, okay? I don't even remember why we turned on the microphones that day, but it certainly was not necessarily to review those 2 products that we reviewed. But in the process of doing that, we were giving our layman's opinion, or maybe our lame opinion. Either way, it would have worked, but that's exactly what it was all about. We weren't officially reviewing this, were we, Strick?
Well, Doug, you know what's really funny? Because, and by the way, my viewpoint on this is not because I'm not trying to offend somebody or because I'm not trying to lose a listener, okay?
Yeah.
That is his perception.
Okay.
And, there's a line, I think I may have said this one before. The first time a man says you look like a horse, you punch him in the face. This is from a line from a movie, Lucky Number 11. Really weird, kind of offbeat movie, but it's a great line. The first man that tells you you look like a horse, you punch him in the face. The second time a man tells you look like a horse, you yell at him. The third time a man tells you look like a horse, maybe you should start shopping for a saddle. And so I am the kind of guy where it's like, look, I don't feel like we were actually reviewing this stuff, right? But you know what? That was his perception. Okay?
Yeah, got it.
So really, this is the first time we've heard it, and I'm not really offended, but maybe we need to keep an ear open. Maybe we do need, if we hear that again, or maybe we just need to be more aware when we're talking, because his perception is not his fault. It's our fault for not conveying the information correctly, to basically say, hey, you know what? Because like when he says this sounds like a badly scripted promo, right? Oh my God, I would fucking love it if Google wanted to pay us money. But you're right, it totally was not. But obviously it came off that way. So we should probably clarify at the beginning. Hey guys, by the way, I think we actually did say we're not sponsored by Google, but maybe we should have made it clear. And then the other thing is, as he said, we really didn't have it reviewed very well. We should either, if we're going to come up with a topic that is kind of a little more techie like that, either do more research, which would be a really good plan. The alternative is that we make it more clear throughout that, you know what, we're just casual users. This isn't like a review or anything. We're just giving you our opinion off the top of our head.
I think we even said that in the I think we even said that during the episode that this is not neither one of us, this is not a commercial. We're not reviewing. We're not getting paid to do this.
Okay, so let's get back to my perception as reality. Because again, this is the bigger picture. EatDrinkStayDubai, is that it?
Yeah.
Dude, I so appreciate any listener who has been hesitant to make a negative comment because they think we're going to give them shit. I love you guys. I want to hear it all. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
No,
I really like
you too.
Even though Doug gets his hair ruffled.
I do, but so what? So what? I get offended I'm easily offended, but that doesn't mean I can't. Strick, you offend me all the time. We're still best friends.
So here's the bigger picture that I see, right? People don't realize in business and in personal life that people hear what they want to hear, and at some point they're going to tune out or not hear certain things. So, Doug, you and I'm curious to go back and listen to the episode right now, because I know that we did say, hey, we're not sponsored by Google. And we may have at some point said, like, hey, this isn't like a review. I don't know that we did or not, right? But clearly there was something that we said somewhere in the episode that either we said it too fast and he didn't hear it, or maybe early on we made an indication that it was, and so he chose not to hear it. And let me give you the example of where I'm going with this.
Okay, yeah, good.
Let's say that I've got somebody speaking. I'm going to see a speaker, right? If in the first 2 minutes he says something about God, right? Like if he says, we're this way because God says this, because God made us this way. You've what?
Tuned him out.
I'm done. I don't care what he says after that. Am I going to listen? Yes. But, everything is going to be with a skeptical ear. Yeah. And that's just because of me. You know what? And it's just so interesting. I mean, let's say, again, let's not get political, right? But let's say you got a speaker and you're interested in what he says. But let's say he comes out and he's Middle Eastern. And let's say maybe he's got like not a burqa. What do the guys wear on their head? I don't even know.
I don't know. I'm going to offend somebody if I tell you the wrong name. I don't know.
I don't know what it is either. But let's say he comes out and it's somebody who is Middle Eastern. And let's say he is dressed in more traditional, Middle Eastern garb. Yeah. And like, you're going to lose people in the audience immediately before he even opens his mouth. And it's just so interesting to me thinking about things like that. Because I guarantee you that we did say, because I remember making the comment, God, I wish Google would sponsor us. I would love that, right? But, for some reason he didn't hear it. Maybe he was out getting a drink at that time, or maybe we had said something earlier that basically that caused him to tune it out. It's very interesting. Maybe so.
This is one of my favorite lines here. The next line is, sorry to say I switched off at the point where you were swearing about iPhones. It just seemed a little excessive.
See, there you go, right? Like, I don't even know what we said after that, but basically I think what happened, tuned us out. I think what happened is, yes, I think the end in his mind justified the means. I think he was okay probably with the Google Docs thing, and he was probably okay with us talking about Evernote and OneNote. But the iPhone thing, it went too far for him. I don't know whether he was upset or maybe he's an Apple employee. What did we talk about on the iPhone?
I think we talked about the sucky battery.
Oh, yeah, the sucky battery. No, and look, man, this is actually the perfect example, right? Because anybody that's listened to any episodes of the show, you guys know I love to bash Apple, and I bash them in a nice way because they are a ridiculously successful company. I can say all I want that they're a bunch of assholes and a bunch of idiots. Well, they're a bunch of rich assholes and idiots, and obviously they're doing something right. So I do say it very tongue-in-cheek. But everybody that you interview, 19 out of 20 of them have an iPhone. So you know what? I can bash the iPhone all I want, but I'm in the minority. Everybody's buying them. And when the iPhone breaks, they buy another one, and they buy another one, and they buy another one. I'm saying it in a joking way, but really, I bash them, but I'm wrong. All right? I mean, the public has made its decision.
Finally, his last line. Come on, guys. Don't give up on your quality just to turn the mics on. You do well normally. Hope it picks up in the future. So we know he's listening right now. So eat, drink, stay in Dubai. Love the fact that you responded. Love the fact that you're okay being controversial and that you're okay with stating your opinion. And we took no offense to it. It certainly is great to stimulate a conversation this way. We would love, actually, and I think I wrote this back to you in the comments. I don't know if you get Eat, Drink, Stay Dubai. I don't know if you get the comments that I sent back to you, but Strick, provide us, what did I say? Anything you'd like us to review or cover in future episodes, let us know. Thanks for being a valuable member of our community. I wrote back to him. So just so everybody knows, I did not bash him in return. We appreciate the comments, and like Strick says, keep the comments coming. We want to know more and more.
There was a great line that somebody said at Podfest, and I don't remember who said it, but he said, I'll know I've made it when I start getting hate mail. Right? Yeah. When somebody cares enough. I got to tell you, there was a lot of vitriol in that. I mean, he was, come on, guys, don't just turn the mics on. I love that. I would really love to hear from him, too, because I may actually have to go back and listen to that episode, because I didn't feel like it was that different from other ones, and I know I don't feel like I bashed Apple.
Well, you know what it is.
Normally do.
I don't think you bashed Apple more than you normally do. I think the fact that we actually came across to him as a formal product reviewer without actually knowing what the fuck we're talking about.
Man, that is so much. Not to interrupt you, but I'm going to interrupt you.
Yeah, that's all right.
Like the whole premise of my perception is reality speech is, you set that tone immediately. And when you do that, there is a specific expectation, right? Like as soon as somebody speaks and as soon as they say God, I have an expectation that they are this God-loving Christian and that their view is going to be skewed by that. And that's why and you're right. So, Eat, Drink, Stay Dubai, as soon as you got the impression that it was a
review,
a product review,
yeah.
you had an expectation. Hey, this is a product review. Do your fucking job and actually review the product and actually study it and actually know it before you review it. But it's so interesting. I didn't think of it as a product review. You didn't. But that was his perception. And because of that perception, he had an expectation, which completely was not met, of course.
I think that in this particular case, what I will give to him as credit is we were definitely not full-assed on that show. We were half-assed. We were more in the half-assed category. But that's pretty typical of me. But as a consumer, that was my perception of the products that we were unofficially reviewing. Next week we will be reviewing. What are we reviewing? Fax machines and horse and buggies
and pagers.
Pagers.
I think we did this joke one time. There's a commercial. I'm sure you haven't seen it because you don't watch commercials. With the guy in the.
I don't watch commercials. I don't watch television.
There's an Amish guy. They're in a horse-drawn cart, right? And one guy's dressed in Amish clothes, and there's like a black guy sitting next to him, and they're younger. They're like probably like 20, 25, right? Young teenagers, whatever, right? Yep. And the black guy says, he's like, "Yo, dude, man, what's life like not having any internet?" And the Amish guy goes, "It's about the same. I get pictures of your mom through the mail."
What? I don't even get it.
I knew you wouldn't even get that. 'Cause it's basically like a diss, right? Like, hey man, I saw naked pictures of your mom on the internet, right?
Oh, I get it. I get of your mom through the mail.
I get my pictures of your mom, but I have to get them through the mail. And it was just the greatest joke because it's just so, completely unexpected.
And I think with that joke, we should probably just wrap up the entire week of shitty programming. We've actually this was a great week. It was the best way to end a great week. I really think that these types of comments, keep the hate coming, everybody. No. Keep the comments coming. Positive, negative. We want to know. We will do better at reviewing things, at making sure that you get a little more clear picture on what we are all about. If you don't know what the clear picture that we're all about right now at episode, I think this was 245 or 250 this week. Geez, we're going to go over 250 episodes.
That's crazy.
Blah. That's crazy. All right, we ready to get out of here? Because I want to go home.
We are. Okay, nice guy community. Thank you so much. We're all good. Eat, sleep, drink. God, eat, drink. What is it? Eat, sleep, stay?
Eat, drink, stay, Dubai.
We really appreciate it. If you really are from Dubai, we would love for you to record a, we had all these listeners from Dubai early on, and we were saying, somebody call us. Nobody ever did. So we would love to get a call 4242 DJ Doug, record an intro. We love you. We really appreciate it, even though you were very upset, and obviously we listened. So, Steve O'Brien.
Yeah, go ahead. Just do it.
We'll continue tomorrow. Go ahead and take us out of here.
For the nice guys on business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Because it's such a fine line between stupid and clever.